Hello. Today I want to look at one specific example, one specific result of the interpretive lenses that we use. All of us read the scriptures, all of us understand God in a way that makes sense to us. To a certain degree, all of us believe about God what we're willing to believe about God. And we don't believe about God what we're unwilling to believe about God. And then we interpret the scriptures in a way that will line up with those beliefs. And a clear example to me of this is our belief that God is going to save kids, that all kids go to heaven. To me, those of us who believe this, believe it not because the scripture is so clear on this, there are some that argue it the other way, but because we can't fathom a God, because we're unwilling to believe in a God who would condemn innocent kids to hell for all eternity. And then we interpret the scriptures in a way that will line up with that belief. And I think that's okay. I think it's a reasonable interpretation of the scripture. It's a reasonable belief about God. And I just want to say that the ultimate redemptionist is doing the same thing. Given the circumstances of life into which people are born, given the fog of life through which so many people look that makes it near impossible for them to know or accept the message of the gospel, I can't fathom a God. I'm unwilling to believe in a God who would condemn anyone to hell for all eternity. And then I'll interpret the scriptures in a way that will line up with that belief. And I think that's also reasonable. I think it's a reasonable belief about God. I think it's a reasonable belief about God, a reasonable interpretation of the scriptures. Some people will say to me that I'm just a believer. The ultimate redemptionist is just believing about God what they want to believe about God. And I'll say, I think that's true. But I think it's true of all of us. And not that there's not a place for accountability, there is. And not that there's not a place to look at Christian history and tradition. I think we need to do that, and we will do that. But I think ultimate redemption passes both those tests. And I think it's beneficial in so many ways. I think it's really good news. Really. Thanks.